Okay, we are live. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining us on another edition of the Market Insider Series, where every episode we travel the country. We talk to some great brokers like we are today, visiting some different areas where we see Californians moving to, some of the more popular areas people are relocating to. Today is no exception. We are going east, but not too far. We're heading to Salt Lake City. I'm with Daryn Edmunds of High Road Properties in Salt Lake City. Daryn, welcome.
Thank you, Scott. Thanks for having me on your program. It's great to get to chat with you about these great places that people might be moving to.
Absolutely, man. I'm excited about this opportunity today. We're going to be covering a lot of information, and just for if you're watching this to kind of know what to expect, we've got a lot of information to cover in about 45 minutes. So we're really going to go high level, but we're going to cover a lot of different topics, including housing, cost of living, industry, business, taxes, all kinds of stuff. Daryn, I'm just going to drill you and we're going to make it fun. How does that sound?
That sounds perfect. I'm ready. Hit me.
Okay, awesome. So Daryn, give me a little bit of background. Like you've told me before, you're a transplant to Salt Lake City. How long have you been in Salt Lake City, and what brought you to the area?
Yeah, that's right. So I am a transplant. I'm from upstate New York originally. Came out here to Salt Lake just before the Olympics, about 2 weeks before the Olympics, actually. So in 2002. So
Okay.
I'm 17 and a half years I've been here. I came to be a ski bum for a year or two, and it turned into the place that I've spent most of my life at this point. Opened up a real estate practice. Well, I started practicing real estate 10 years ago, and then opened up our team about 5 years ago and been slowly growing, and now we're a team of 10 people. We're officed in Cottonwood Heights, which is one of my favorite suburbs of Salt Lake City, and I will go over that a little bit later. So one of the things our team focuses on, which makes us a perfect match for what Scott's doing here, is since almost everyone, 9 out of 10 people on our team are transplants, we really understand what people are going through when they're moving to a new place. We have learned Utah, so we can save you a lot of time there. We really pride ourselves on getting our clients plugged in. Most of our clients that are moving in from out of state end up being our friends, and we introduce them to our other friends, and it really helps smooth out the moving process.
It makes it an easier process of getting acclimated, that sort of thing. And I think that's important, Daryn, you mentioned that, because a lot of people, there's a certain style that I think real estate agents should have if they're working with people that are moving to an area, brand new. And since you guys have done it, you understand what the questions are, you understand how to best address those needs. So, I think that's awesome. So have you seen, obviously you've been doing this in the business for a while. Have you seen a lot more people moving into the area maybe in the last year or two than you had before?
You know what, Scott? We have actually seen, and I don't know if I messed up my screen share here. I apologize.
No, you're fine. We're good.
Thing that was messing with me, so I lost you. We have seen a huge increase in folks moving to Salt Lake, and maybe that's just because we've been trying to market ourselves more as the go-to team for people relocating. But what we've seen is an increase in jobs overall in Utah, tech jobs specifically. So it may make things more attractive to folks coming from the Bay Area. Say you're moving tech and you want to work in tech. Well, we have a pretty booming, growing tech business here in Salt Lake. There's a couple different places where that's more focused, more centered in the downtown area in Salt Lake, and then as well in a place called Lehigh, which is halfway between Salt Lake and Provo. Right in the middle is Lehigh. They've created a new marketing campaign for that area called the Silicon Slopes. So people leave Silicon Valley, they're coming to Silicon Slopes.
I like it.
But Adobe has recently moved their headquarters here. That's probably been about 3 years. Oracle has big offices here. Facebook, Amazon, Google, all the big players are starting opening up some stuff here.
Where are you seeing, or more of the areas that you're seeing people move in from? Is it kind of coming from maybe California or the Pacific Northwest, or where are people coming in from?
We have had a number of folks come from California. That's probably the largest number of folks that have come to town. Bay Area, certainly. Southern California as well. People are just tired of the traffic in Southern California. We also see people from Seattle, but less. And then we've had a number of folks from Texas moving in, again, for jobs, and maybe they want a little more recreation options. We've had a few people this year from Houston that just wanted to get away from the humidity. You really can't blame them wanting to get away from the humidity. I think I don't really love humidity, so I can feel what they're saying. And we also have transplants from the East Coast. A good number of folks on our team are from the East Coast originally. So we do connect really well with the folks from the East Coast as well. And once we tell them, hey, are you coming because you love the outdoors? Yes. Oh, perfect. So do we. Do you want me to tell you where all the best bike trails are and all the best?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And you want someone to ski with, and we'll get you all linked up. That really seems to help. So, but I would say probably our team, probably 40% of our business last year was folks moving into Utah from outside of the state.
And are you seeing most of those people coming in for new jobs, or is also a percentage of those people that are coming in retirement reasons? Maybe they're following their kids or their grandkids, or they just want to retire in the area.
We have had folks retiring coming in, but the majority have been probably people from their late 20s to their early 50s that are relocating for a career move, but not always. It's not always a big promotion. A lot of times the folks are saying, hey, I'm a programmer. I make great money in San Fran. I live in San Fran. Or for example, two of our recent clients just came. They are accountants. They were living in Sunnyvale, and they were saying that the rent is crazy here. They were able to get job transfers. They're still accountants. They actually took a 20% pay cut to move here, but they also got a 60% cut in their cost of living. So effectively they got a raise, and they really like the outdoor scene here. So it's usually a bit of a lifestyle thing. It's not a big, I'm going to make more money in Salt Lake. It's my lifestyle is going to go up because the cost of living is so much lower, less traffic, lower bills, lower taxes, and a lot more to do that's really close, to get to Tahoe for fun on the weekends. If you want to get up there, oh man, when it's weekend traffic, it can be pretty rough from San Fran, but from here in Cottonwood, you can be at Snowbird, my favorite ski resort, in 15 minutes with no traffic.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing.
So a lot of people, like you mentioned, are just looking to kind of improve their quality of life. And that's why we see a lot of people looking at the option, whether it's Salt Lake City or a different city, as, we can have an improved quality of life, lower cost of living, just, kind of looking at our options elsewhere. But let's go a little bit deeper into that, Daryn, because I know that you had pulled up some properties and you can show us around some of the areas, because really the biggest thing is, what can I get in Salt Lake City, for a certain price? So give us kind of this little, virtual tour if you want to open up your screen share.
Yeah, absolutely.
And give us kind of an idea of what type of properties you can get at certain prices.
So I've got this Google Maps here set up. I'm going to slide this down to the bottom here. Close these out and get this thing maxed out. So where you see here, for anybody watching, checking things out, if you're not familiar with the Salt Lake City area, I may even go one shot bigger. The Salt Lake Valley is located right here. This is Salt Lake City. The downtown area is in the northern part of the Salt Lake Valley. Provo is going to be down here. That's where BYU is, if you're familiar with their football team or their basketball team. Yeah. And then I mentioned Lehigh is this area right in between where a lot of the jobs are. Now, since I'm an outdoor lover, you can see my blue dot right here. I'm right here in Cottonwood Heights because all the great skiing is here in Big Cottonwood and Little Cottonwood. But let's talk about where people often move to when they come to town.
Excellent.
One of the places that's really popular, because the downtown of Salt Lake has come alive a lot in the last 10 years. I've seen huge changes, even in the last 5 years. Lots more bars and restaurants. So folks that want to be closer to the action, if you can see my cursor here, tend to end up down in this Liberty Park area. So I'm zooming in a little bit. Liberty Park is probably the most popular park in the city for people to run. They have a farmer's market there on the weekend. It's a really cool area, kind of bohemian, kind of small bungalow homes, and we'll take a look at those in just a second. Really great running track. People take their dogs there. Huge fireworks on the 4th of July and the Utah holiday, the 24th of July. So let's take a look kind of at what you can get down there. First couple homes that are going to pop up are examples from Liberty Park area. Blair Street, one of my favorites. Now, this is located right near Liberty Park. We're only a block off the park, and we'll try to blow this up. Most of the homes in the Liberty Park area are going to be your little brick bungalows. Usually they have a low ceiling in the basement, so you want to watch out for some of that square footage you see in the basement may not be usable. They're always cute. They usually have this little front porch, great for sitting. This is a very bikeable neighborhood, a very walkable neighborhood, flat, only about a mile to downtown Salt Lake. So you get your townie bike that you don't care too much if someone steals it. You don't want to take your really expensive mountain bike. You go cruising, people cruise down to the bars. They go cruising around the park. This has been a recently remodeled home. So they've taken out some walls and done some different things than what we normally see. But I'm surprised actually that this home has been on the market 12 days. Our market moves very quickly, especially below 500,000, and especially in some of the neighborhoods.
And Daryn, what's the price point on this one?
Let's move back up. The price point on this home is 375,000, and to be honest with you, and it shows right here, days on market 12. Our average days on market in Salt Lake right now are around 24, but that's including all the dogs that aren't selling. I always like to say average isn't good houses. The good houses that are priced properly are usually selling in 5 to 10 days.
Wow, that's fast.
Often multiple offers on the first weekend. Now, there's been a little slowdown on that because economic news is a little funky these days, but we're looking at general supply and demand here in Salt Lake. Low supply, high demand. We're going to see increased pricing, even if the economy slows a little, just based on those factors.
Sure.
You'll also see the taxes here on this property, about $1,600 a year. I'm sure in California, you're probably seeing a lot higher tax rates than that. You can kind of plan on your Liberty Park area homes, taxes being somewhere between $1,500 and $2,000 a year. You'll see it's listed as a 3-bed, 1-bath. Knowing what I know, probably that basement bedroom is going to be low ceilings, maybe better for storage than actually a bedroom. Maybe for a kid, it would be okay. So that may be why this one is hanging around at 375. It's really a 2-bed, 1-bath, which will definitely sell at 375 as well with the remodel. We roll down here. The next one is also in the Liberty Park area. I click the Google map here. We'll show you a little bit further south from the park. So the park is here. A little further south. 700 East is a main up and down street to get you from downtown to the freeway. So you can hop on the freeway here 2 minutes from this home, and you can be at the ski resorts, the mountain biking, rock climbing, hiking, camping, all that stuff, 20 to 30 minutes drive on the freeway. Pretty awesome. This home is a little different. I like it that it's kind of got a 2-story. They've done this on some of the older homes in that neighborhood. They pop the roof up, and they end up building out some bedrooms in the upstairs, which is really kind of cool. The price tag on this home, actually they didn't pop the roof. This had been done much earlier. I love this. I haven't actually seen these photos of this one. Remodeled the kitchen, made it beautiful. This is a larger kitchen than you're normally going to see in the area. And the price point on this one, I believe, was at where were we on this one? $455. Now, they had overpriced this one at $515.
I was going to say that's a pretty big reduction. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a pretty big reduction. I would think from what I'm seeing right now on the market, at $455, this property should sell fairly quickly. When did they make that price reduction? It looks like they changed that price. Wow, we have had all kinds of weird things going on there. They had it lower, now it's higher. This property probably has some kind of funny story that I would have to find out about by speaking with the other agent. But why I liked it was that it was close to the freeway, really easy freeway access. You come out of your street and take a right. It's 2 lights and you're at the freeway. However, you're not going to hear the freeway while you're at your house, which is really nice. You can still easily walk to the park. And this home, having the bedrooms upstairs is pretty unique because they're usually just a bungalow here. That's why they have a larger kitchen in this home, because they have 1,000 square feet on the main floor with just 1 bedroom. Typically, we're going to have around 1,000 square feet on the main floor, and that's going to be your kitchen and 2 or 3 bedrooms. So you have a little more space at this home, which is part of why I picked this one out.
Now, so most properties are going to have a basement. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, and then that's something that's unique. Well, not unique to the country, but I know in California, not a lot of basements. A lot of our California.
No basements because of earthquakes.
Yeah, we go down in the basements, especially in these. A lot of our folks say, wow, this is creepy. I don't like being in the basement. And we always have a laugh about it. And I say, you know what? Some of these basements, I don't like being in them either because I hit my head on things because they're kind of low. Yeah. But in Salt Lake, pretty much any neighborhood, Salt Lake, Park City area, Provo area, we're almost always going to have a basement.
Yeah. Okay.
We, depending on the build, the year built, you may have more utility down there or less. But typically you will see some bedrooms in the basement, and then you just want to keep an eye out for large enough windows for egress. That's something we run into.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
If there's a fire, you want everybody getting out.
So that's Liberty Park area.
It is Liberty Park.
Okay.
So if we were going to swing to the next area, I'll jump back out onto the Google Maps. So we're here at Liberty Park. Downtown Salt Lake is right here, only a mile away. If we slide, it's not very far as the crow flies, a mile or two just here where it says Sugar House. This has been the hottest area in Salt Lake for, God, the last 5 or 6 years at least. It's a little further from downtown. However, it's a little closer to the mountains. And the homes are about 20 to 40 years newer. Most of the homes built in the Liberty Park area are from between 1900 and 1920. You get into Sugar House, and it's more 1925 to 1955. So what they end up having is a little larger footprint, a little more square footage. Down in Liberty Park, often you don't get a garage. In Sugar House, probably 70% of the time you do get a garage. Price point gets pushed up a little, and then there's another park, Sugar House Park right here, another great park. A lot of people spend a lot of time outside in Utah. Our weather is great, probably 8 to 9 months a year. We have really great outdoor weather. So the parks are a great place to be. If you don't have the time to run to the mountains, you can jump into the park that's right in your neighborhood.
For sure.
So the Sugar House area is going to have Westminster College is this great little private university. And then University of Utah is just, a little bit further north, just right up here. So it kind of has a university feel, but it's also a family neighborhood, and it's seen a lot of development, again, in restaurants, bars, pizza places. It's very, very walkable and super cool. So a couple examples in the Liberty Park area would be this home on Hollywood. Price tags in Sugar House Park area. You're going to have a hard time finding anything in the Sugar House area for under $450 these days. If it's $450 or less, it's really going to be a fixer-upper. So if that's what you're looking to do, there are some opportunities there, but we have a very strong flipper market here. So if you're looking for a fixer-upper, you're going to be competing with a lot of investors that have cash. They'll grab it at $450, put 50 grand in, and so they'll be into it for $500, and they'll sell it at $600. There's a lot of folks doing that. One of the reasons I like this property on Hollywood, and I'll just show you on the map here real quick. It's just a little bit east of the park. Here's the main Sugar House Park. Really quiet neighborhoods, tree-lined streets, absolutely beautiful. And again, mostly bungalows in Sugar House area. What I liked about this property was the big detached 2-car garage. I really like having off-street parking personally. They're going to still be fairly small inside. These aren't your big ranch ramblers that have wide open spaces. Often people will knock out walls in these to open them up. It looks like this has been a pretty freshly remodeled. Well, they didn't redo the kitchen. So there's some space in this property to maybe do some remodel work. This is your typical older kitchen, a little bit smaller. So what they'll do is take out the wall between the kitchen and the living room, kind of bring everything together. Makes the place feel a lot bigger. Great condition here. This is one of your basement bedrooms we just talked about with the small egress windows. Now, maybe the larger one here, maybe up to code. We do have, these non-conforming bedrooms are pretty frequent in these neighborhoods, but this one seems to be in really good shape. It is a basement, though.
It's livable, right? I mean, it's livable space for a basement, for sure.
Certainly livable, and typically, like I mentioned, the lower ceilings in Liberty in the basement, they'll be 6 feet and sometimes 5.5. In Sugar House, usually they're going to be 7 feet. So I'm 6'2". I can walk around without hitting my head in Sugar House area, which I always like.
Whether you're going to be able to fit through that window is a whole different story, though, right?
I'm not going to fit through that window, and that's
the problem.
That is the problem. Looks like they have a nice little basement setup for a bathroom as well. This is a little odd that it's finished right into the utility room. I think I would have put a wall in personally. The garage, I think the value of the garage is huge in this area. If you're here for the lifestyle, you're probably going to have a lot of toys. You're going to be picking up mountain bikes. You're going to have all kinds of camping gear. And if you can't fit it all in the basement, you're going to need a garage to put it in. I like that it has a covered patio on the back. The summers here are quite warm. And when it's 100 degrees, it's that dry heat thing. It
Yeah.
really is. If you're out playing basketball or you're running or you're working in the sun in 100 degrees, the dry heat doesn't matter. It's going to cook you still. But if you're sitting on this back porch reading a book in the shade and it's 100, you'll be feeling just fine. So it's nice that they have that feature.
And so this is pretty indicative. I mean, aside from maybe some updates that other properties might have, this listed at 475. So in this area, you're looking at maybe like 475 to 525, depending on the condion, the updates of the property, right?
Yeah, that's true. I think you could figure in Sugar House, you're going to be 450 to 600, depending on the square footage and the layout. Because some of the properties will be a bungalow like this, but they'll be a larger bungalow, larger basement.
Okay.
I may have an example of that here. I picked this one out just because of the cute factor. This one's on Sherman, one of my favorite streets in Salt Lake. In the Liberty area, I've sold 5 or 6 houses on Sherman Ave. I don't know why. I just have good juju with Sherman. So this home, super cool. This is a really unique look. It's kind of a hybrid. It's a Tudor / brick bungalow. I kind of figured people would really like the outside look. This is really great because the interior, probably original hardwood floors that have been well cared for and refinished. They may have been redone somewhere along the way. So this is the front living room area. All the bungalows are going to kind of have that. And then you walk, these archways are super typical through the dining area and into the kitchen. Love the way the photos were done on this one. Not a massive kitchen. You're not going to have 6 people in there cooking at the same time. But this is pretty typical, again, for the area. And the price tag on this one, I believe, was $515,000. So you have a basement that's finished nicely here. Plenty of space.
What was the beds and baths on that one? It's like,
this is a 4-bed and 2-bath. So you can see 2 beds up, 2 beds down. Again, I think since it's in Sugar House, you're going to have more headspace there. It does have a 2-car garage. I love Sherman. Now, it is important to remember for folks that don't know Salt Lake, as you move east, let me jump on my Google map real quick here. As you move east, we'll zoom out a little. The city is basically divided east and west by I-15. So there's the west side over here and the east side over here. Our team focuses more on the east side, but we sell everywhere in the valley. As you go more east, prices tend to go higher. It's just as you get closer to the mountains, prices tend to go higher. I'm sure you can relate that to things in your market.
Absolutely. You get closer to the coast, it's the same type of thing.
It's more expensive. So there's some pretty key lines. As you cross 700 east, this one here that I mentioned earlier, as you get east of that, prices jump. When you cross 1300 east, they jump again. When you cross about 2000 east, they jump again. So something to just keep in mind, this one being at 1256 east, you're just west of that 1300 number. So that keeps the price slightly lower. If this house was 1 or 2 blocks further east, it probably would have sold for 550 on the first day, which is crazy, but that actually really matters to people.
Got it.
I did grab one additional, which is also on Sherman. I was on the Sherman field. This is 1 block further east. I liked this one because it has an additional bedroom. They must have built up into the attic space again, but overall square footage, 2,500. That's a really good amount of square footage.
That's a big bungalow.
Yeah, that is. For this neighborhood, that would be very above average. Also has a detached garage. It's also in great shape. And it has more of an open floor plan throughout the living room kitchen here. I love bar tops. I feel like they really bring everybody together. You're going to have your friends over. They're going to be leaning on the bar top talking to you while you're cooking.
Everybody hangs out in the kitchen anyway, right? So
everyone. So why not have I love it. It's even raised up. All right, I'm going to sell this house. You guys aren't going to get this one because we're going to sell this one before we get here, unless you hurry. And they also have the farmhouse style sink, which you got to move this little bar here. I want to show you that. These farmhouse sinks are super popular. I love that the window's over the sink. I always like to look out the window while I'm doing dishes. Hardwood floors, super typical. These are definitely original, really nicely redone. The bathrooms are going to be smaller, even with the bigger square footage. And then here's that bonus space upstairs. That's really unique. I'm very surprised that this home hasn't had more attention right away. Basement looks like it has high ceilings as well. Really love that. And this, again, is Sherman. And this is let's take a look. This is the 1300 East, which runs north and south. It takes a little time to get used to how we do our streets here in Salt Lake, but I swear, I promise, once you're here for a week, it starts to make sense, and it's really great. You never have to ask directions anywhere. You just ask people what their coordinates are, and you just follow it in like playing Battleship. This would be a terrific home, and they've had a price reduction on this one as well to $530. I see this house selling probably for near that $530 number. So this is a good example for what you can get for that kind of low fives in that neighborhood. So I know Scott wants me to jump to a couple other great neighborhoods. So I'm going to jump.
Let's maybe take one example from two other neighborhoods.
Perfect. So we'll jump down to our neighborhood here, Cottonwood Heights, and Scott shared with me that he used to live here when he was younger.
Very young, yeah.
I've lived in Salt Lake, like I said, 17 and a half years, and 16 of the 17 and a half years have been in Cottonwood Heights. I came for the skiing. That's where the skiing is. So I have a couple examples of Cottonwood right here. The Grand Oaks home, I'm going to go a little higher price tag, and I'm a little biased. I'm throwing this one out there because this is right around the corner from my house. It's in a little neighborhood called Top of the World. It's a sub-neighborhood within Cottonwood Heights. So Top of the World is anything. This is Wasatch Boulevard. It runs right along the mountains. Anything east of Wasatch Boulevard is called Top of the World neighborhood. As you see, Top of the World Drive. I live right here on this little cul-de-sac on the end of the street.
Great location.
It's amazing if you want to get to the mountains. Also, not a lot of traffic in Cottonwood. Easy to get on and off the freeway. You can still be downtown in 20, 25 minutes. The hospital, 20, 25 minutes, which is a major employer. The University of Utah, 20, 25 minutes, depending on traffic. Park City is about 30 minutes away, and the ski resorts are 20 minutes away. This is a really unique home. It's got a whole lot of roof, as you can see in the photo. I should have had this listing, but I didn't. It's literally right around the corner from my house. Beautiful home. You get a lot more for your money when you come down to Cottonwood Heights. So let's take a quick look back out here. 4,000 square feet here. Now it is $750,000 for this one, and I think they'll probably get somewhere near that on this home based on the size. You can find homes in Cottonwood just a little further to the west, not in Top of the World neighborhood. In the 450 to 550 range, you can find a really terrific home. I just wanted to showcase this one because it's new to the market. It's only been on a week. I think it's a really unique place. Huge.
And that's a good school system though there also, right?
It is. Salt Lake schools overall, you have to take a look on greatschools.org to know one neighborhood to the next.
Yeah.
But the schools in Cottonwood Heights area are some of the most prestigious in the Salt Lake Valley. Brighton High School is the public high school right near where we are, and people fight over getting their kids in there, as well as the elementary school that's right near our house. Really popular. That's one of the other draws for the area. I'd say in Cottonwood, you'd want to plan the things you get in Cottonwood. Guaranteed you get a 2-car garage, possibly a 3-car garage, more square footage, bigger kitchen, bigger backyard if you got dogs and kids that you want playing out in the backyard. In Sugar House, you'll have a yard. In Liberty, you'll have a yard. But if you want to have more like a 1/4 acre, you're going to get a 1/4 acre to a 1/3 of an acre in Cottonwood Heights, whereas you'll be more like 0.1 acre in the Liberty area and maybe 0.15 to 0.2 in Sugar House.
Right. And you get a newer home in Cottonwood Heights, right?
You do, exactly. And a lot of Cottonwood Heights was built in the 50s, 60s, 70s. There are some newer constructions as well, but this home was built in 1970. I've owned 2 different homes in Cottonwood in the last 15 years. One was built in 1960. One was built in 1968. I actually really like the construction from the 60s. I feel like they did a really great job of materials then. They're built super strong. Some of the new construction in our area, I'm not the biggest fan of. I think it's just not built the way they used to. They always say they don't build them like they used to. And I put my money where my mouth is on that. I buy houses built in the 60s. I love them. So that's Cottonwood Heights, and I could probably talk about that for way too long. There's some great development going on right here, right outside the mouth of Big Cottonwood Canyon. They're building a new mixed-use place. It's going to have office, hotel, couple new restaurants. If there's anything we're a little short on is nightlife in Cottonwood. You can drive 15 minutes to Sugar House and have all the nightlife you want, but we're a little short on nightlife, so they're going to help with that. And there's a large, we call it the Dirt Factory. It's a big sand and gravel pit that's being phased out over the next 5 years. So this big area right here is going to be built up, and it's going to be amazing 5 years from now. I think we're going to get probably a new movie theater. We're going to get a bunch of new restaurants. So I'm all in on Collinwood Heights.
So Daryn, let me ask you this. So we've looked at some properties in some of these different areas, and as we go east a little bit, we're getting newer homes, but we're still kind of maybe around the 70s, 60s, 70s built. Is there much new construction, or are we kind of landlocked at this point as far as like new construction communities per se?
To answer your question, I had to zoom out a little. So east side of the city here, what we talked about, not very much space left for new construction on the east side of the city. A little bit down here, Sandy and Draper, a little further south from Cottonwood. Still terrific neighborhoods. They're building them very dense there. More townhomes or single-family homes that are nearly touching each other, really dense. If you want new construction with a little space, that's going to be out to the west, kind of in this Harriman, Riverton area. Daybreak is an area that has a lot of new construction where you can have some space and a newer home. It's going to add to your commute. From Harriman, if you're going to work in downtown Salt Lake, you're probably 35 minutes with no traffic. Realistically, during rush hour, it's probably 45 minutes.
Okay.
Collinwood Heights during rush hour, probably 25 minutes. There's also a ton of new construction. We go further south, and this is outside of where we were planning on talking about. If you go west of Utah Lake, this is down closer to Lehigh, where all the new tech is being built right here by the freeway. It's crazy. Every time I drive by there, there's a new building that wasn't there last week. I've never seen anything get built that fast. But out here on the west side of the lake, Eagle Mountain, Saratoga, loads of new construction out there. And at 400 to 500,000, you can get yourself probably a 4,500 square foot brand new home on a quarter acre with a 3-car garage. Probably an unfinished basement, but you guys all hate basements anyway, so we don't need to worry about it.
People around here, I mean, if you're from California, born in California, basements get a little bit freaky, right? So
yeah, sometimes they end up doing some walkouts that end up being really great if the home's on a little bit of a hill. So you have a slider out the basement into the backyard, and that's really great. Works great for barbecues, for the kids and the dogs in and out. It really is nice to have that slider to keep the outside stairs out of it. But to answer the question one more time, we're seeing some development down in the areas we talked about earlier, solely townhouses. They're buying up lots that are,
so that's more like kind of the infill development where it's just you're packing it as much in as you can to maximize the space. But for the new home construction, with a little bit of land, that's going to be south.
You're going to need to go south and west. Yeah. And there are some new directly west, but you don't tend to get much space here. It's more the spaces down here. And they do have a light rail system here in Salt Lake. It is nothing like BART. It does not accommodate people the way BART does. It's smaller and it doesn't go to as many places, but you can basically figure there's a backbone that runs up and down the center of the valley. And then there's a line that runs into Sugar House, and there's a line that runs to the university. And then there's 2 lines that run out here to Harriman, Daybreak, and West Jordan. So where we live here in Cottonwood, there's no way to really get onto the light rail. So it's not really, really effective for certain neighborhoods on the east side. Some of the new construction out by Daybreak, you could jump on the train and be downtown in 35 minutes, no traffic, chilling. That's pretty nice.
Yeah, that was going to be one of my questions because, we do a lot of these webinars and, a lot of cities have planned for the growth, explosive growth that they've had, and some haven't, so they're kind of playing catch up. If you guys have, some light rail options in here, but really, your maximum commute for most areas is going to be 30 to 45 minutes.
Right.
You're still doing fine.
I'm just spoiled because I'm used to everything being 15 minutes or less. And I'm very spoiled. When folks talk about their hour and a half, 2-hour commutes, I go, wow, that's harsh. Realistically, if you're in the Salt Lake Valley, it's going to be rare that you're going to commute for more than 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So
take us to the awesome spot. Are we going to head over to the mountains right now in the next area?
We wanted to highlight one other area that I really like. I'm actually trying to buy a house there myself right now. The Park City area. So you come out of Salt Lake.
And that's probably what a lot of people have heard of, right? I mean, if they've taken a vacation, a ski trip, something like that. I mean, that's what Salt Lake City is known for, is Park City.
Park City is very close. It's kind of neat. It's like having Tahoe that's only 15 miles away. Yeah. You go about 15 miles up this canyon. This is up and over a pretty big highway, and down the other side. Puts you into Park City right here. Largest ski resort in the nation here now. goes all the way across these mountains. Actually, the mountain biking is even better than the skiing. The summer's amazing. And there's tons of fishing in the Park City area, world-class fly fishing. Outdoor recreation's out of control. So there you have a number of places you can look at living in Park City. The one I really like, especially if you're coming for work and you're going to work in the Salt Lake area, is Jeremy Ranch. And you'll see Jeremy right here. And the other area is called Pine Brook, is just on the other side of the freeway. They're kind of one neighborhood, really. I really like Jeremy. It's on the sunny side. If you're over here in Pine Brook in the winter, it's kind of cold, not a lot of sun, and the snow doesn't melt. If you're over here on the sunny side, sun comes out, a lot of your snow will melt.
Right, ready to go.
It's really great. And if you beat the summer heat really well in Jeremy, even on the hottest days, as soon as the sun goes down just a little bit, cools off to 25 degrees. We love it. It's hoodie weather. Throw your hoodie on. So price tags are a little higher, being closer to the ski resort community. Looking around in Jeremy, if you're looking for, say, a 4 or 5 bedroom home, there are little larger homes. About the smallest house you're going to find in Jeremy, I believe, in their HOA, CCNRs. You're not allowed to build a house smaller than 3,600 square feet there. Typically, they're going to be 4,000 to 5,500 square feet, and they're going to price somewhere between 750,000 up to 2.5 is kind of on the high end in Jeremy. So I did grab a couple examples here. Let me show you exactly where this would be on the map. So in Jeremy, it's called the Jeremy Ranch because it used to be a ranch owned by the Jeremy family. Now this is the Jeremy Ranch Country Club. So a lot of people talk about the front 9 is right in this area of Jeremy. Let me zoom out just a little more. And the back 9 is this area of Jeremy. The back 9 tends to be more expensive. It's up on the hill, a little further from the freeway. There is a little bit of freeway noise in Jeremy, but they just built this new sound wall all along here, which really reduces that. Lariat, I sold a great home to a family moving from Boston on, jump back here. On Lariat, you'd basically be their neighbor. I think their home is probably just about right here on Lariat. They loved it because they wanted the cooler air in the winter. And as you can see, it's a larger home. Let me jump back one more time. This home was built in 1993. So you're going to see in Jeremy, homes built from about 1980. They're still building some new homes in Jeremy. So 1980 till now, most of them built in the 90s and early 2000s. I like the layout here. I like this big stairwell. It's a little more grand in Park City, or overall in Park City, yes. And in Jeremy, just more space because in the 80s and 90s, that's kind of the way they were designing.
They were building them bigger back then. And this looks like this is about 5,000 square feet, 6 bedrooms, right?
Let's see. That's right.
I'm reading down the bottom.
About 5,000 square feet, 6 bedrooms. This would be pretty typical for the area. This one's listed at $895 at this point. It has seen a price reduction from $950. I would be surprised if they didn't. They'll probably get somewhere between $850 and this $895. See who has it listed. Oh, don't know that person. Park City Market is a little bit different up there. A few less players in the game. Now, the other thing you get at this home, if you look down here where my cursor is, you get over a half an acre of land, which is pretty neat. In Jeremy, the rule is no fences allowed. So you gotta, you can put like one of those invisible dog fences down, or you just got to train your dog not to run away. That's a rule they made from the beginning. It really is nice because there's a continuity between all the homes and all the yards, and it just keeps this open feel. I really, really like that about the area. Mostly 2 stories with a basement in the Jeremy area. So you're going to have to deal with those wacky basements again, coming from California. But the basement space there is totally usable, full height ceilings. Most of the homes are going to be finished. This one is. And you will often get a 3-car garage up there for those toys we talked about earlier. Little higher price tag, but if you happen to be selling a place with Scott in the Bay Area and cashing out a lot of equity if you've owned for a while, maybe stepping up to Park City is where you want to be. You might be able to grab a home that's a lot larger than what you're living in and do it for a price that seems like a steal for you compared to what you're
half the price at least
back home. I really love that area. And then I did grab a little bit larger home. This one was originally listed at 1.5. Now they're about 1.4. And if we look on the map really quick, you'll see this is up on Daybreaker, which is on the back 9. This is the back 9 of the golf course. I played there twice. Super cool golf course. Couple photos of this one. Very large. It's a 2-story. You see your 3-car garage there. which is really nice. Again, more vaulted ceilings, a lot of space in these homes. I really like the openness here. If I'm going to spend 1.3, 1.4 million to be in Jeremy, a house like this would feel really good to me. Well taken care of. They got the bar top. You know, maybe I should have bought this one. Jeez.
It's not too late, right? Still on the market.
It's not too late. I liked it. They have this covered patio out here, perfect for having a cocktail at the end of the day. Very little traffic up on the back 9 in Jeremy, so really quiet. This is a beautiful master suite here. Hardwood floors, big windows looking out into the trees. You feel like you're closer to nature. Double vanity. Man, this is a really nice place.
That's nice.
All right, I'm going to sell this one too before you guys get here. So here's something you will see in Jeremy and in Cottonwood Heights for that matter. This is a little bit more dated bathroom. So maybe they haven't updated the hallway bathroom yet. It's maybe still 90s style. Again, a little bit older on the countertops here. And the shower's been redone. Now here's your basement. So it's got a walkout like we talked about. This is going to be a starter. Okay. They've got a nice bar down here. This is really typical that people usually have the basement kind of an entertainment zone. You got your pool table, probably a big screen over here, and they got their bar. You know, you're going to have a good time down in the basement. One thing I can tell you, no matter where you move from, if you end up in Cottonwood Heights or if you end up in Jeremy and you have friends that like to ski, they're going to be visiting you a lot. So you're going to need an extra bedroom or two for your visitors.
Like it or not, they're going to be coming over on the weekends, right?
I've got a friend in from Washington right now, and my friend from Romania just flew here last night because people want to visit Salt Lake. So be ready for a lot of visitors. Plan for that.
Awesome. Well, this has been great, Daryn. I want to make sure that we cover some of the we've got a pretty good idea of some of those areas, but I want to make sure we cover some of the other topics here.
All right.
So let's talk about taxes a little bit, because California, you know, is known for having some of the higher taxes in the country. In fact, our state income tax is up to 12.3%. Do you know offhand what the state tax rate is?
Income tax here is 7.25%.
Okay,
no,
so
sorry,
not 7.25%. Sorry.
Let me start over. Sales tax is 7.25.
Sales tax.
Sales tax.
Got it. Okay.
Income tax is a flat 5% here in Utah. 5%. Okay. There is no city tax on top of that on income.
Got it. Okay, so you guys are 5%. We're about up to 12.3%, and then you said that your sales tax is 7.25%. We're about 1% higher than that, about 8.25%. But depending on where you're at, it could go up a little bit. What's your property tax rate? You know what that percentage is?
Well, that really varies neighborhood to neighborhood. I think a good plan to have in your head would be, so for example, the home I live in is worth about $500,000, and the tax rate for me on that one, I'm paying $3,000 a year in taxes. So what is that, 0.7?
Yeah.
Something like that.
So you're probably 0.7 to 0.8%, and here we're about 1.25. Some areas have special assessments where you're going to see it a little bit higher, you know, so those numbers might be a little bit different, but obviously that's less. What are you paying for a gallon of gas right now?
I just bought some gas last night. Right now, gas is about $3.50 for your standard gas, $3.50. Okay. It just spiked a little on us. We were right around $3 for most of the last year, so I'm not really sure why it spiked so much. I know that's probably $1 less than what you're paying in some parts of California. You guys are about 4.5.
Yeah, we're at. We're a little bit cheaper. I think I filled up a couple days ago for just over $4. But you can go into San Francisco and you might be at 4.5. And we have another planned tax increase, a state increase coming up, 2020. So we're sure to be probably up to that 4.5.
Typically, what I see is about, and my father lives in California, so I know a little bit. Typically, I see about $1.25 difference, you know, cheaper. Okay. But right now, that's some reason that's skewed a little, and I'm not sure why.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about, you mentioned some of the companies that are moving into that south area. In fact, I just pulled something up earlier today. Utah led the nation for job creation over the past 12 months, grew by 3.6%. In the period ending July, adding 54,000 jobs. And the other piece was Utah also had the nation's fifth lowest unemployment rate in July at 2.8% compared to the national rate of 3.7%. Obviously, you're seeing that. You're seeing a lot of growth. You're seeing a lot of new jobs. You're seeing a lot of construction, development, everything to support that. What are some of the major growing industries and some of the major corporate players that are moving in and bringing in a lot of these new job opportunities?
Okay. So we mentioned tech a bit. Like I said, Amazon's opening a new data center here. Adobe moved their headquarters here a couple of years ago, and actually drove by there the other day. They're like doubling the size of the building. It's nuts. So they're probably going to hire another 1,500 people. We actually have a large Goldman Sachs building downtown. They rent half of one of our skyscrapers. We're the second largest Goldman office in the United States is here in Salt Lake. So there's a financial industry here. Outdoor industry, not as big dollars on the paycheck, but Black Diamond is headquartered here. Backcountry.com, which is a blend of outdoor and tech. The ski resort business, hospitality is very big here as well. Marriott has a very big presence here. Trying to think of some other folks. Well, the university is probably one of the biggest employers, and then there's
sure, yeah, both of them, right?
Both of them, and near the University of Utah is an area called Research Park. That's just east of downtown, right near the university. My girlfriend worked there for years. Big biotech stuff going on there. ARUP Laboratory. I think they employ about 5,000 to 6,000 people. They do genetic testing. Myriad also does genetic testing. BioFire also does genetic testing. So we have a really big biotech scene here. It's pretty wide ranging, really.
Yeah.
And
I mean, there's a good diversification of industry, right?
There is.
Employers, which is great. That's what you want in any city, is a good diversification. So if you see a downturn in any one industry, it doesn't have as much of an impact on the local economy. Yeah,
and I don't want to just say it's all these office type jobs. We do see a lot of folks moving here that are working from home for the lifestyle. If you are a programmer type person, a coder, working from home, this is a great place to work from home. You can run out into the mountains and play for an hour and run back home. We have a lot of those folks. And then, to be honest, as a tradesman, if you're looking at relocating as well, an electrician, a plumber, a drywaller, a roofer, we have so much demand right now for tradespeople. We're rebuilding our airport as well. We haven't gotten to that yet, but so many of our contractors are out at the airport right now working on the airport. They're quadrupling the size of our airport, and they're doing it in 2 years. It's going to be done next
Aggressive.
I've never seen anywhere in my life where they build things faster than here. It would have took 50 years in New York where I grew up, and they're doing it in 2 years here. So there's a lot of opportunity here no matter what your skill set is, to be honest. And we do see a lot of folks moving even just for resort jobs, hospitality jobs, and then they find their way into other businesses later. I mean, I started as a server up at the ski resorts, and I found my way into this business. And
those support positions, I mean, we talk about like the high level corporate, high paying jobs, but then you're also looking at who's supporting that.
Yeah.
Like you said, food service and all those different types of employees that have to support all of that growth. I mean, it's great for everybody.
And my plumber's charging me $100 an hour right now. So
everybody's
making money.
You've thought about trading in the license, huh?
Someday
it's pretty good.
He tells me it's not all rainbows and unicorns in the plumbing biz, but I honestly, I wouldn't discourage anybody for considering this place as a move. There's just so much opportunity right now. I'm glad I got here when I did. I'm glad I got a little ahead of it. But we were number 3 in the nation last year in appreciation as well, roughly 10%, depending on what neighborhood you're in. We're forecasting that to not be as steep on the curve in the future. But Utah is forecast to, mid-single digit appreciation for the next 5 years is what's in the forecast.
Tell us a little bit. I mean, we talked about, I know you're into, skiing and mountain biking and hiking and all that kind of cool stuff. How much snow, if you're living, and we're not saying Park City, but let's say in Cottonwood Heights or, areas around the downtown.
That's a great question.
How much snow are you going to expect to get? How many days am I going to be shoveling in the wintertime?
Depending on the neighborhood, you mentioned in Cottonwood, you're certainly going to get a little bit more snow being up by the mountain. Yeah. We'll leave Park City out. So I would say in Cottonwood last winter was a huge winter for us, and I had my snowblower for the first time in my life. I owned a snowblower, and I was we ended up probably using that snowblower maybe 15 times last winter. Typical winter is probably more like 6. If you're in Sugar House, Liberty Park area, you can probably figure there's going to be 3 or 4 or 5 big storms a year where, you know, it might be tricky driving to work in the morning if you have a 2-wheel drive car. In Cottonwood, you probably want to get, if you come visit Utah, you're going to see a lot of Subarus, a lot of Subarus. I drive a Subaru, and a lot of Tacomas, basically just a lot of all-wheel drive vehicles because.
Which makes sense, right? I mean, it's, you know, whether it's the day-to-day snow you're trying to get through, or if you're going out and trying to have fun, you got to drive over the pass.
But it's pretty rare for you to be like snowed in at home, can't go outside. You know, maybe 2 times a year. If you're a bold driver with all-wheel drive, you're never stuck at home. So yeah, and then what I really love is we do get a lot of big storms in March and April where it will dump a foot or 2 overnight. But by March and April, the sun's getting pretty strong here. So do the quick shovel. You don't have to be too thorough, and the sun will take care of the rest of it for you within a day or 2. Really, the cold months here from just around Christmas time till the middle of February. There's about 6 weeks where it's cold, and you got to be on it with your shoveling, or your driveway will kind of ice over. After mid-February, I barely shovel anymore, man. I let the sun take care of it. So I do recommend watching which direction your home faces here in Utah. I love places that have west-facing driveways and south-facing driveways, so that sun helps. I also like east-facing backyards a lot because in the summer when it's hot, your east-facing backyard is your house is gonna throw shade to your backyard, so it's gonna be really nice for barbecuing. When it's 100, you can still be out there. And I pay attention to this because I'm a redhead. I am very sensitive to the heat. My first apartment here faced west, and man, we got cooked in there. So I really always try to keep an eye out on these little factors. That's something that my team and I really focus on when we're out with our buyers, is looking for the little things that you would never think of.
You know what, Daryn, that's the attention to detail that I love, because most people aren't even going to think about that, you know, which direction that the house is facing. And they're going for, what does the house look like, right?
Yeah,
is it updated? The things you can change, not the things you can't change.
Yeah, they love the kitchen, and I go, that's a great kitchen, but the backyard looks like the Sahara Desert, and it's got a really steep driveway that faces north. So those are factors that you're going to come into your day-to-day life year-round and affect you. And sometimes people go, I don't care, I want to do it anyway. And I say, let's go. I'm not here to talk you out of it. I just want to make sure you have your eyes open to the things that may be important to you later.
So Daryn, we've covered a lot of really good information here. And obviously, you know, like I said, we're just trying to go over a layer of a little bit, introduce some areas to get people enough information to be able to say, you know what, this makes sense. Maybe let's make a trip out there and, you know, get our feet on the ground and look around a little bit. So if we have clients who would like to come out and meet with you and your team and, you know, take maybe an afternoon or a day or even a weekend to kind of look around. Yeah. You guys would love that, right? I know you guys do that a lot.
Absolutely. That's one of the things we focus on. And that's why I built this team. I got too busy to do it all myself. So if you want to come out, just give us a little heads up, like a week.
Of course.
Would be best.
You mean I can't come tomorrow, Daryn?
You could come tomorrow. We got
on a flight right now.
People available. What we would do, if Scott gets us connected, please, you know, get my info through Scott. Get on out here, give me a call. I'll get you set up with either myself or one of our amazing buyer specialists. And what we usually do is have you come in and sit in the comfy room right here where we are at my office in Cottonwood, just to chat for an hour first. Hear what you think you want to match you up with the neighborhood that we think might work better for you.
Lifestyle, house, neighborhood, everything.
Exactly. And talk price a little, but we're not worried too much about price in the first meeting. We want to know, what are you trying to get out of this move, so we can match you up with the best area. And then one thing we do that I don't think very few other people are doing around here, and I think it's tremendous value when you're moving from another state, is we spend a bit of time going over how the process works here. We call it our red folder, because I literally used to do it out of a red folder. Now we have a PowerPoint presentation, but we just show you, how does it work? How does the contract work? How does the earnest money work? What are our rights during our inspection period? How does the financing piece work in Utah? What's different from California?
Because every state's going to be different, right? As far as, you know, the terminology that's used, the time frames, the contracts.
Yes, absolutely. So we try to familiarize you a little bit with the the language here and the process. And we always tell people, don't worry if you forget half of what we tell you. You're still going to know a lot more than you did before you walked in.
Yeah.
And the next time you ask the question and it's something you heard it for the second time, it'll really resonate with you, and then you'll remember. So we do that to try to set your expectations and show you, it doesn't have to be scary making this move. One thing we do go over in detail in that meeting is like the purchase contract here in Utah is very, very, very buyer friendly. So that's cool. There's a lot of ways for you to get out and basically not lose any money at all. Don't abuse it. But
of
there's
course, yeah.
ways for you to go after a house, and then if it doesn't look like we thought it looked, or if we find some nasty things during the inspection, we have a lot of clean outs. So that takes a lot of fear out of people. Don't be afraid. We're here. We're on your side. We're really highly reviewed. I think maybe that's how Scott got us linked up. You can check out our reviews. People really like the way we do things, and we're just trying to take care of people. We just try to put ourselves in your shoes because we've been here, so we can really take care of you that way.
That's awesome. So anybody who's watching this webinar, first of all, thank you for taking the time with us. Because I think we might have ran over 45 minutes, but I think hopefully that was some great information. Contact us at info@leavingthebayarea.com. We'd love to get you in touch with Daryn and his team out there in Utah. If you think it might be a viable option for you to go take a look, meet with you guys for a little bit. And if it's in the wintertime, look, make an excuse to take a vacation and do a little diligence while you're out there, right? Why not? Have fun with it.
We give a free half-day guided skiing with one of our members. We're
also, there you go.
If you're a snowboarder, we'll even hang out with you too.
Yeah, there you go. All right, Daryn. Hey, I appreciate your time. And thanks, everybody, for taking the time to watch with us today. And Daryn, we'll be in touch.
Thank you for watching. And thanks a lot, Scott, for reaching out in the first place.
You got it. All right, take care. Bye for now.